Best Story: Fallout 4, The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, Batman Arkham Knight, Tales from the Borderlands, Life is Strange, The Order 1886, Until Dawn, and Dying Light.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was my choice for best story. Really just a unanimous decision for me. Not that there were other people voting. But it's the main story is just so big and so epic, and all the other side quests come in to just make it one of the best stories I've ever played. I don't think I will soon forget The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
I chose The Witcher 3 for best story because to me it doesn't really feel like a story. It feels more of like a journey. When I think about that game and I think about what I've done, it feels like I have done it so long ago, and really it might have only been a few months ago. And just the way that the world works, how the world changes as the story goes on, how Geralt's beard grows, which is actually a huge deal to me. It's just really good.
Life is Strange won my best story because of what it did with Max and Chloe's relationship. The story of Max's time travel powers and what it did with that for the 5 episodes, and used that to build a relationship between these two characters, sold the story for me. It's very unique. Very few have done it before. Putting in an episodic game, I think, is really cool. How the suspense grows by episode.
Best setting: Northern Realms, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Boston, Fallout 4, Gotham, Batman Arkham Knight, Pandora, Tales from the Borderlands, and Arcadia Bay, Life is Strange.
I chose the Northern Realms because it is a very medieval type setting, very believable, very dark. It reminds you of that everywhere you go, and you could often find things on the side of the road or whatever you want to call it, dirt trail, that if you follow it, it may lead to something that has nothing to do with the side quest or story, but every little thing tells a story in that game.
The Northern Realms from The Witcher 3 was my choice because it just feels like it's out of a storybook from the Dark Ages. It feels very real and very cruel, which really helps you understand the characters and the rest of the world around you.
The Order 1886 London won my best setting. The Victorian style theme going on in that game really brought me into London. With it being set in kind of a alternate timeline of different things going on in London than what would normally happen. Best soundtrack: Star Wars Battlefront, Fallout 4, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Batman Arkham Knight, Life is Strange, Tales from the Borderlands, The Order 1886, and Transistor.
Transistor was my choice for best soundtrack because when I'm playing the game, like the actual background music for during fights and during the breaks in between fights and when the character sings is really cool and it keeps me engaged. But I also listen to the music outside of the game because I like it so much. Like the main score that plays in the background right before you start it up on PlayStation is actually like a song that I have on my Spotify playlist.
So Life is Strange is my choice solely because of its acoustic soundtrack. I have a thing for acoustic music. The guitar in it really puts you into the feel of Life is Strange. It's emotional, it's hard-hitting. Just something about the strings and how they play, just the back and forth music, especially Max and Chloe's choice. The soundtrack is just beautiful. It has to be my choice for best soundtrack.
I chose The Witcher 3 because that's the kind of music I like listening to, and it fits the bill. Makes you believe the setting. Best performance: Troy Baker as Reese, Mark Hamill as Joker, Doug Cockle as Geralt, Ashley Birch as Chloe, Roger Craig Smith as Kyle Crane, and Brett Dalton as Mike.
Roger Craig Smith as Kyle Crane was my pick for best performance because this is actually the best voice acting I've ever heard in a game. And it really feels like you're listening to a real person talk, like real things someone would say in a situation. Some of that's the writing, and the other characters honestly don't do it as well as Roger Craig Smith does for Kyle Crane. Even though it's very hard in first person to do that because you don't have any facial features to show emotion, I still felt like I could tell exactly what the person's face was looking like with everything he said.
I chose Mark Hamill because he is the greatest voice actor for the Joker. There won't be anybody else that is ever better than the Joker. Or Mark Hamill. Same thing. It's the same character. He gets into character. It's awesome. He's great to hear.
Mark Hamill as the Joker was also my choice for best performance. Much like Tyler said, he does the best Joker that I've ever heard. He just jumps into that role. It was great to see him back after Arkham City. I was so glad he was in Arkham Knight. His laugh is the best. Everything he does as the Joker just sells you. I'm the Joker. There'll never be anybody like him ever again.
Best cast: Batman Arkham Knight, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Tales from the Borderlands, Life is Strange, and Until Dawn. The cast of The Witcher 3 was my favorite cast because there were no characters in it that you felt like were just skipped over. You felt like every single person had a role to play, and had one of my favorite characters of all time, which is Dandelion. Just one of the best characters in a fantasy setting I've ever seen.
Tales from the Borderlands was my choice for best cast, quite simply because without the cast and every single character that was part of it, the game wouldn't have been the amazing game that it ended up being.
Tales from the Borderlands was also my choice for best cast. They put some of the best voice actors together. They gave them a great script, and the voice actors just took over. The cast of it, they're funny. You feel for them. It's not just a comedy. They sell all sorts of emotions on you, and there's really no weak character in the entire cast. Every episode, you know what you're getting, and that's a great thing because they're all so good, and they continue it through all 5 episodes with all of them. There's not one weak character in the entire cast. Best RPG: Fallout 4, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and Dying Light.
The Witcher 3. I chose The Witcher 3 for best RPG because it had a ton of RPG elements, and although I didn't use them all personally, that didn't affect the game at all. You could play it as a full-on RPG that they gave you, or you could play it as a very basic RPG, but you still will have almost the exact same experience as the person that played the full RPG.
The Witcher 3 was my pick for best RPG. It was a tough choice, but I ended up picking it because it's basic, and I like that. Like, it has everything an RPG should without trying too hard. It all blends together really well, and it has just a lot of options, and once they fix the minor issues with the inventory and system management, it's the best RPG system I've ever used.
The Witcher 3 won our best RPG for me simply because I didn't know exactly what I was getting into when I got into the game. I didn't know how difficult or how easy it was going to be, and it was very welcoming. It was a very welcoming RPG. I didn't feel overwhelmed at any point to do anything in the game. You kind of just do it at your own leisure, and I really appreciated that it's not too hard to jump into and experience.
Best open world game: Fallout 4, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Batman Arkham Knight, Dying Light, and Metal Gear Solid 5. I chose The Witcher 3 because although it is probably the biggest map in any open world game, it never actually felt like it was too big. It always felt like you could always reach your destination in a very short amount of time, and it was the only game to me that felt like it was the most real, living, breathing world.
The Witcher 3 was my pick for the best open world game, just because it's just massive in size and scope, and like it's just filled to the brim with life. Like there's no dead spots. There's no things that are there just for show. Everything has a purpose, and sometimes you just want to explore, which is the greatest thing to have in an open world game.
The Witcher 3 won Best Open World for me simply because of how believable the world was. It was always living. People were always doing something. You could go down anywhere in the world and just experience something. So it really put you into a world that was just always moving, always felt like things were always happening, and that made it very believable to me.
Best multiplayer: Battlefront, Rocket League, NHL 16, and Battlefield Hardline.
I chose Star Wars Battlefront because I love Star Wars, and that is the greatest Star Wars experience I've ever been a part of in my entire young life.
Rocket League won Best Multiplayer for me because of just how fun it is. I can't believe nobody else has thought of an idea of soccer with cars, but they did, and it's just unbelievable amounts of fun. I loved it the first time I played it. I still play it now, and it hasn't lost any amount. It's still fun no matter how much I play it.
Rocket League was my choice for best multiplayer because it's so fresh and it's so different. It's just a lot of fun. It's a little hard to go back to once you've been away from it, but your online friends are the thing that keeps you coming back to play it.
Most surprising. Tales from the Borderlands is my most surprising game because when it originally came out, like 5 years ago, I actually hate Borderlands, still hate Borderlands. Wasn't going to get it. Alex told me to get it. It was really good, so I went out on a limb and I bought it, not thinking I was ever going to play episode 2, and it turns out that it was one of the best games I ever played.
Dying Light was my choice for most surprising because going off of Dead Island, I really expected it to just suck hard, but it ended up being one of my favorite games. I'm on my 3rd playthrough right now, and it's just lots of good, clean zombie killing fun.
Until Dawn won my most surprising. When the idea first came out, I liked the idea. I remember seeing it when it was the Move game for PS3. When it came out, I thought it was going to be a good game. I didn't expect it to be an incredible game. I really, really liked Until Dawn. It became a contender for Game of the Year the more I played it, and I just didn't think it was ever going to get to that point. Best game for change. Journey, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, Rocket League, Life is Strange, and Tales from the Borderlands.
I chose Tales because although it's a $25 game, I'd be willing to pay around $100 for that game. It was just a lot of fun. I laughed a lot, almost every episode. A lot of emotion. It was just a really solid game.
Life is Strange won for me. It was $25 for the full 5-episode pack, and it easily exceeds the price of a normal game. I'd pay far over $60 for Life is Strange. The experience it gives you, it's a long episodic game. It's not a short 1-hour thing. Each episode is close to 3 hours long.
Rocket League was my choice because I was already hyped because of it being on Steam and it was free. And the time I've spent based on how much I paid for it, which is $0.00, and how much I played it is insane. And I still play it to this day.
Most disappointing. Evolve. The Order 1886. Game of Thrones. Mad Max. I chose Evolve for my most disappointing game because I believe it was last year or the year before, it was my most anticipated game. I was thinking that it was going to be this amazing game, because it's how they showed it, where you finally get to be the big boss, like in Mario, or you get to be Bowser, basically, and kill your friends. But like, it looked so good, I thought it was going to be great. I played the beta, I thought it was really good. Played the game, thought it was good. Then once you keep playing, then you're like, wait, this game sucks. So yeah, I went from most anticipated to most disappointing.
My pick was Mad Max. This is the most disappointing game this year. Like my most disappointing friend, it let me down. I wasn't hyped at first, and Tyler is the sole reason I bought it. I actually got it as a birthday present. So, horrible birthday caused by Mad Max. It's just a bad story, didn't have me keep, bad side quests, unneeded RPG elements, just a lot of gimmicks, and there's really just nothing new there. It's a horrible game.
Evolve 1, my most disappointing. I was so hyped for that game, so hyped, and it let me down in the worst of ways. From the very first game I played of it, I could sense I wasn't liking it already, and then it quickly escalated to me just absolutely hating the game. I returned it. GameStop now has that back, and I never want it back. Thank you, Evolve.
Most anticipated 2016. No Man's Sky. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End.
Sully, I know the risks.
Horizon Zero Dawn. The Last Guardian. Mass Effect Andromeda. Detroit.
I am one of them. This is our story.
Dreams. Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
I'm taking her out!
Dark Souls 3. Mafia 3. Naruto Shippuden. Ultimate Ninja Storm 4.
Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 is my most anticipated game for 2016 because I absolutely love Naruto. I've followed the series since it started about 11, 12 years ago. I try to stay updated on what's happening with this game every day because I want it so bad. It's the final game in the series and I can't wait to see how it all ends.
Uncharted 4 wins my most anticipated 2016 because it's Uncharted 4. Neil Druckmann, Bruce Straley, coming back from The Last of Us to do Uncharted 4, Nolan North, Troy Baker. It's going to be insane. I love the Uncharted trilogy. It's my favorite game franchise ever. This is going to be the last game with Uncharted 4, at least with Nathan Drake. So I can't wait to see how... I don't really want it to end, but I can't wait to see how they finish it.
Dark Souls 3 is my choice because it just looks amazing, even though I'll probably be playing it alone because my friends don't like Souls games. And a Souls game has never let me down before. I just really can't put my emotions into words, and I'm so excited.
Game of the year.
The Witcher 3 is my game of the year. It's an obvious decision for me. It's a game I would continue to go back to and play for years. And it really changed the game when it comes to RPGs and how RPGs will have to be in the future in order to keep up.
My game of the year is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt because it is the best game that I played all year and it does change the way that I perceive and play open world games, and I feel that almost from now on until CD Projekt Red makes their next game, that there will never be an open world game like The Witcher 3.
My game of the year is Life is Strange. It set the bar for episodic games. It has the qualities of a full game, a full $65 game. It tells a great story, has a great cast. I didn't expect it to be so good and for so cheap. In the format it is in, it just had a breath of fresh air to the episodic game mold that's kind of become stale.